people would say Robert, so don't say Robert. Americans would say Robert. Robert Parker. First person. Don't say first person, say first person. Curl your tongue and pull it back and make a strong R. All right, let's practice some sentences now. Their computer isn't working. Their computer isn't working. I gave her 4 other pictures. Let's say it more quickly now. I gave her 4 other pictures. Her 4th birthday is on Thursday. Her 4th birthday is on Thursday. There are many more over there. There are many more over there. We were the first to arrive at the park. We were the first to arrive at the park. So remember, good, strong sound. Curl your tongue and pull it back. Let's talk about the W sound. The W sound, W, doesn't exist in a lot of other languages. So many people either don't pronounce it or they pronounce it incorrectly. W. Let me show you how to produce it. First of all, you need to round your lips, W, W, and you need to have a lot of air coming through. So make sure that your vocal cords are vibrating and that there is air coming out of your lungs. W, W, W. Kind of like when you're blowing a balloon. Let's practice a few words. W, W, wait. Wait for me. A common mistake is for people to use the lower lips and for the lower lips to touch the upper teeth. That changes it. So don't say wait for me, say wait for me. If you don't round your lips, it's probably going to sound like a V sound. That means the words wine and vine are going to sound the same. So round your lips, blow the balloon, w, w, w. Wait. Let's practice a few more words. Welcome. You're welcome. Always. So don't say always and don't say always. Say always. You're always welcome. Let me show you one more thing about the W. I want you to say kwa, kwa, kwa. When we have words that are spelled with Q-U, they're pronounced as K-W. So there's a little W sound in here. So I want you to say quick. Pronounce the K-W. Quick, quick. Don't say quick or kick. Say quick. Let's practice some more words that have a Q-U spelling that sounds like kwa. Repeat after me. Quiet, quiet. Question, question. Require, require. Quality, quality. One more. Liquid, liquid. All right, let's practice some sentences now. What do you want to do this weekend? What do you want to do this weekend? I'm always required to work on Wednesdays. I'm always required to work on Wednesdays. She will wear a white wedding dress on her wedding day. She will wear a white wedding dress on her wedding day. I have a quick question about the quality of the watch. I have a quick question about the quality of the watch. There are always 12 women with the children. There are always 12 women with the children. We wish we were with our wives. We wish we were with our wives. So remember, round your lips and let the air flow through. Let's talk about the V sound now. V, V. To correctly produce the V sound, your lower lip should touch your upper teeth. V, V. Don't bite your lower lip too hard. Don't say B, but just kind of create the vibration of air and say V, V. Have, have. The common mistake is that some people don't use the lower lip and they round their lips instead and they say how instead of have, have. The other mistake is when people speak really quickly, the letter V tends to disappear. So when people say involved, sometimes it sounds like involved, involved. And when people say 5 months, it sounds like they're saying 5 months, 5 months. So the V is really easy to overlook if you're not careful. So let's practice some sounds with the V. Repeat after me. V, V, very, very well. V, vote, vote. Now when the V is in the middle of the word, it's a little bit harder and people tend to neglect it. So when you say 11, move your lower lip. 11, 11, 7, 7-11. V, v. All right, let's practice some sentences now. He's very involved in their lives. He's very involved in their lives. I've been here from 5 to 7 hours. I've been here from 5 to 7 hours. I will visit the village on my vacation. I will visit the village on my vacation. Have you viewed the 5 videos? Have you viewed the 5 videos? We will review their votes in November. We will review their votes in November. A very common mistake is to confuse the V and the W sounds, the V and the W. So be careful, don't round your lips. So for example, when you say vest, make sure that it doesn't sound like west. So V is just the lower lip touching the upper teeth. Vest. And W, west. We round our lips and the lower lip doesn't touch anywhere. Let's practice a few more words with V and W. Repeat after me. Vow, wow. Vet, wet. Vine, wine. Vest, west. Okay, let's practice a few more expressions now. 12 vowels. 12 vowels. 5 women. 5 women. Very weird. Very weird. West Virginia. West Virginia. However you wish. However you wish. I'll have wine with the veal. I'll have wine with the veal. So remember, lower lip touches the upper teeth and feel the vibration. Let's talk about the S and the Z sounds. This can be confusing and difficult because in English, very often a word is spelled with an S sound, but it's actually pronounced with a Z sound, with a Z. For example, the word has. It's spelled with an S, but the sound is actually Z, has. Here's another one. This S, we don't say bags, we say bags. So the S is pronounced like a Z in some very common words. So let me teach you a rule of how to know if the S should be pronounced as S or as Z. One way to know is whether the consonant before the S is voiced or voiceless. For example, if we say book, this K is voiceless. K, k, k. Therefore, the S that comes after that also remains voiceless, which is a S. Therefore, one voiceless sound next to another voiceless sound. Let me give you another example. The word laugh. This GH is actually an F sound, right? F, f, f. There's no vibration in my vocal cords, so the F is actually a voiceless sound. So that means the S that follows it will also be voiceless, and we will say laughs, laughs. Look at this word, live, live. This is a voiced sound, v, v. Therefore, this S is also going to be a voiced sound, which is a Z, lives, lives. Laughs, lives. Let's try some more. Remember, K is voiceless, so book, books. Let's think of some more words that finish with a K sound. Like, likes, she likes. Cook, she cooks. It's voiceless because the consonant is voiceless. Let's try a few more voiced sounds. Feel, vibration in my vocal cords. That's a voiced sound. Therefore, the S sounds like Z, feels, feels. All right, now I'm going to say some words, and you decide if the word at the end is going to have a S sound or a Z sound. I'm going to say it with no S, and then you try adding an S and try to figure out if it's S or if it's Z. All right, let's try. Care, care. Let's add an S to that word. Cares. If you said Z, you were right, because care, the R is a voiced sound. Let's try another one. Doctor, doctor. Once again, we had the so doctors, we add the Z sound. Mat, mat, mat. Is that voiced or voiceless? It's voiceless. So we put an S on the end, mats. It's with an S, mats. Okay, well, how about if the last letter of the word is not a consonant? What if it's a vowel, as in the word has? We have a vowel here plus S. Usually, when there's a vowel, the sound is Z. There are some exceptions, but usually that's the rule. In fact, there are some very common words that we use every day that finish with the sound Z, and they have a vowel before them. Here are some of those words. Is. We don't say, he is my friend. We say, he is my friend. Another word is was, because, these, those, please, always. So these are some very common words that we use all the time that are spelled with an S and pronounced with the Z sound. All right, let's practice some sentences now that have words spelled with the letter S and pronounced with the Z sound. He plays the drums on the weekends. He plays the drums on the weekends. She has friends in many countries. She has friends in many countries. Does he always use those things? Does he always use those things? It rains and snows in these areas. It rains and snows in these areas. So remember, when it's a voiced consonant followed by an S, the S sounds like Z. Another way that we categorize consonants, besides whether they're voiced or voiceless, is whether they are stops or continuants. A stop is a consonant that is produced when we stop the airflow. For example, if I say job, job, I cannot continue the sound B. I cannot say job, b, b, b. I can say job. Therefore, the letter B is a stop. A continuant is a sound that we can continue for as long as we have air in our lungs. For example, if I say the word yes, I can say yes. If I want to, I can prolong that S for quite a long time. Therefore, the S sound, the S, is a continuant. Repeat after me. Yes. All right, let me explain to you why it's important to know if it's a stop or a continuant. One reason is because when we have a continuant, a lot of people make the mistake and they treat it like a stop. They cut the consonant in half and they rush through the word. Let me give you an example. Look at this word. Sometimes we have a S and we have a S. And then the M is also a continuant. So take your time and fully pronounce the continuant. So I want you to say sometimes, sometimes. Don't say sometimes, sometimes. A lot of people rush through the continuants and make them too short. So really feel the sound and extend the letter if you can, if it's a continuant. For example, have. Don't say I have a job. Say I have a job. I have a job. Feel the continuant fully. Also, let me teach you a common mistake that people make with stops. Look at this word. Pop, 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 pop. Look at my lips. This is a stop because I'm stopping the airflow. Pop. Pop music. Here is the rule. When we have a stop followed by another consonant, do not release the stop. Look at me. Don't say papa. music. Instead, you need to say pop music, pop music. So I didn't release my lips. I said pop. I didn't say pop. So when we release the stop, it sounds like we're adding an extra syllable. Papa music. It sounds almost like 4 syllables. Papa music. Instead of pop music, 3 syllables. So make sure that you hold the stop. Let me give you another example. You can say job. You can say, I love my new job. Or you can hold the B, you can hold the stop, and you can say, I love my new job. I love my new job. Look at this. Here is a stop followed by another consonant. So don't say job market, say job market, job market. Okay, one more. Imagine we say had this. This is a D, 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 d. This is a stop because we cannot prolong it. We cannot say d, d, d. We can say d. It's a stop. So when we say this, hold your tongue behind your upper teeth for the D and keep it there. Had, had. So don't say had this. Say had this, had this. I had this job. All right? All right. Let's practice a few more words that have a stop followed by another consonant. Remember, hold it, don't release the final stop. Job hunting. Don't say job hunting, say job hunting. Top model. Don't say top model, say top model. Good boy. Don't say good boy, say good boy. That day. Don't say that day, say that day. Not now. Don't say not now, say not now. If you notice, the last 2 examples had a T at the end. It's particularly important not to always release the T at the end of sentences because that will make your accent sound foreign. Listen to this. No, it's not. No, it's not. Which one sounds more American? The second one does. Listen again. No, it's not. No, it's not. Let's try a few more words. We're going to hold that T at the end of the word. Not. Hot. I'm not that hot. Don't say, I'm not that hot. Say, I'm not that hot. Let's try a few more. Quite. Don't say quite. Say quite. Right. You're quite right. If you say you're quite right, it sounds more like a British accent or a foreign accent. So remember, the letter T is particularly important, and you need to hold the T at the end to have a more American accent. And this is one reason why people have a hard time understanding if you say can or can't, because very often Americans don't say, I can't go. In fact, they say, I can't go, I can't go. They just hold the T. I can't do it. I can do it, I can't do it. Let's hold that final T. Let's practice some sentences holding that T. I want that blue hat. I want that blue hat. Robert, you might be right. Robert, you might be right. It's not that different. It's not that different. What did you eat last night? What did you eat last night? I can't wait for that flight. I can't wait for that flight. So remember, hold the final stop by either holding your tongue for the T or the D, but, and, or closing your lips and saying up, job. Don't release the puff of air. Okay, keep practicing. Okay, let's practice another T sound that is very American. I'm going to say one word in two different ways, and I want you to ask yourself which one sounds American. Listen carefully. City, city. Ability, ability. Better, better. Water, water. It is, it is. The second one is an American accent. All of those words that I said had a T in it, but the T didn't really sound like t, t. No, it didn't. It sounded more like a d sound, d. Let me explain. When the T is between